Does your deck suck?
It's one of your favorites, but if you're honest with yourself, half the time you sit down to play at the table, it doesn't actually work.
And we've been there, we've done that, so now we're here fixing your deck.
We got really excited about hitting 2,000 subscribers, so we wanted to start this new series that gives back to you guys a little more directly.
It's not like we have more precons coming out this year anyway.
Yeah. We invited our Discord to send us their lists, and we've randomly selected skippymcskipper and Eldrazi Dragon.
Skippy's rocking Ygra, Eater of All, and he's done Aristocrats, he's done Voltron, but he can't quite get all the cogs to turn the way he wants it to.
Well, Eldrazi Dragon's got an Ikra Sakashima list focused on life gain and clone effects.
Focused on big booties.
Yeah, he is. But he couldn't quite get it to work without game changers, so he's actually asked us to upgrade it by downgrading it and making it more appropriate for bracket 3.
And I freaking love that. And if you have a list you want us to upgrade, submit it in the Discord. You might be in the next video, but we've talked enough, so let's skip. Hates that. To Ygra.
Ygra, Eater of All, is one of the most popular commanders out of Bloomburrow. It's got a really interesting effect that turns all creatures on the battlefield into food, which can be a really interesting thing to exploit, your opponents having a bunch of artifacts, or you having a bunch of creatures you can sacrifice at will.
And as fun and unique as that is, we both feel like you cannot ignore how big Ygra can get at any given moment. So we both feel like Voltron is the approach you want to take with this list.
It's the path of least resistance, and therefore your most consistent way to win games.
Our first 4 cuts are going to be Zulaport Cutthroat, Umbral Caller Zealot, Ravenous Squirrel, and Journey to Eternity. These all lean heavily into the Aristocrat strategy, and while that does pump Ygra up, it is not imperative to make Ygra work.
Our next 4 cuts are Academy Manufactor, Eleanor Gardener, Savvy Hunter, and Peregrine Took. These are all food token synergy cards. They either enhance or modify the creation of food tokens somehow, but Ygra doesn't make food tokens. She turns all creatures into foods. It's just a little too likely these sit on your battlefield and do nothing.
Our next cut is Collector Oof. While it is a fun stacks piece to turn off other people's creatures' activated abilities because they'll be artifacts, the effect is symmetrical and we're going to be hosting too many activated abilities for us to want this.
Our next 2 cuts are Consumed by Greed and Shard of the Void Dragon. Shard is a super cool card that I wish also had its effect on ETB, but both of these are just a little too much mana and a little too unreliable for what they do.
Our next 2 cuts are Snakeskin Veil and Brawn. These are both very close to being the type of cards we want, but Snakeskin Veil does not give evasion, and while Brawn does give evasion, there is no efficient way of getting Brawn into the graveyard. Right now, the best way we have is cast it for 4, sacrifice it for 2 because it's a food. I don't like that.
And lastly, we're cutting Chatterfang, Squirrel General, and Mirkwood Bats. These are both phenomenal cards, let me emphasize that point. But our deck is just not reliably creating enough tokens to justify these inclusions.
And if we're going a little too fast for you, don't forget the Moxfield lists for both of these decks are in the description below.
And if you've got that list pulled up, you'll see we've added Garrett Cursed Huntsman. This card is so great because it curves down the turn after we cast Ygra, it's dropping 2 blockers, or if no one swings at us, we can just eat those blockers, allowing you to ult the very next turn, which is essential for granting Ygra trample that they can't get rid of. And push comes to shove, always love removal and card draw.
Our next 2 ads are Awakening Zone, and because Skippy mentioned budget is not an issue, Black Market Connections. Notably, these both ramp into our 5 CMC commander on turn 3, and they both make food for Ygra to eat.
Black Market Connections also fills one of the big holes we need to plug in this deck, which is card advantage, which is why we're adding Sylvan Library, Terra Symbiosis, and Hallowmark Siege. Sylvan Library is our no-budget card draw option, needs no explanation. Terra Symbiosis has an awesome floor and an incredible ceiling, allowing us to potentially draw 2 cards on every player's turn, and then Hallowmark Siege gives us the option to go for cards or for evasion.
Our next 2 ads are Kill Switch and Seeds of Innocence. So this not only gives evasion with Kill Switch tapping all the creatures besides Ygra, but you also have the option of growing Ygra an insane amount and leaving an empty board with Seeds of Innocence. The reason we're not adding more removal is because Skippy did a really good job of making sure that base is already covered in his list.
Sereth the Viper's Fang, Canopy Cover, Not of This World, and Collective Resistance, because what this deck definitely needed more of was protecting Ygra. Whether that's persistent through Sereth and Canopy Cover, or in response to removal with Not of This World and Collective Resistance. The cool part about those is if they pay the ward cost of sacking a food, Ygra gets the 2 counters, and then you protect her.
Clackbridge Troll and Tendershoot Dryad add more food to the table for Ygra to play with. Clackbridge Troll, a consistent overperformer that your Ygra will also benefit if they do end up sacrificing a creature, and Tendershoot Dryad has you going wide and wide and even wider.
And last, we've got Skullspore Nexus. It's almost a guarantee that this is just 2 mana given Ygra's huge power, and the potential is limitless. It can be paying us back if we're sacrificing 1s and 2s creatures here and there. It can give us a huge beater if we get board wiped, or it can double Ygra's power to kill shot somebody out of nowhere.
All right, and that's Skippy's list. I love what Skippy initially gave us, and I really enjoyed figuring out unique ways to upgrade this and complementing the commander as much as possible.
I think we're really just going to bump the consistency, the resiliency. He's going to enjoy playing this a lot more often. And speaking of more often, you're going to see 1,000 faces of Ikra Shidiki when we look at Eldrazi Dragon's list. Sakashima of 1,000 faces has been massively popular since release, but the way he compounds with Ikra Shidiki's effect gives you so much life gain. It's kind of absurd in a really fun way.
Just one of them connecting with them both on the field, you're gaining 14 life.
It's ridiculous.
That's pretty crazy.
The initial problems we diagnosed with this deck is that it's really tough for it to be online until Ikra Shidiki is there, which means you're not doing much until you get 5 mana, and that is not good these days.
The way Eldrazi Dragon solved that was by adding a ton of Game Changers lists, which incorrectly put this deck in bracket 4, and he wants it in bracket 3. So we're going to downgrade the bracket and upgrade the deck.
That means Psychrit, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study, and the One Ring have all gotta go. Obviously, these are incredible cards. The problem is, when I'm playing against this kind of silly life gain clone deal, I'm gonna roll my eyes when they drop the One Ring.
And also, more than 3 Game Changers, you're not bracket 3 anymore, so we had to remove a lot of these. Stolen Identity, Kindred Dominance, and Verdant Sun's Avatar are just way too expensive for what we're looking to do. Not to mention, our commanders already take 9 total mana to get going. We don't want to spend even more of that to do these effects.
Next, we're cutting Collective Voyage, Tempt with Discovery, Krosan Grip, and Putrefy. Tempt and Collective Voyage are kind of cute, but any decent player is going to decline being involved in these clearly unfair ramp spells. And then Krosan Grip and Putrefy are just too inefficient for this style of deck.
Doppelgang, Accomplished Alchemist, and Allahamrit's Archive are our next cuts. These are win more cards that only really succeed when you're already doing your thing.
And our last cut is Rally the Galadrim. It's pretty unlikely we're going to conspire it, and we really prefer creature and permanent based clone effects.
You may not want to rally the Galadrim, but you do want to assemble the Entmoot.
Hell yeah, I do.
This card is so freaking sick. This deck is vulnerable to flyers, so giving our creatures reach is incredibly irrelevant. So is making, at minimum, 3 7/7 green tree folks also with reach.
And it's just so likely they're going to be 14/14s.
It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's 3 of them.
Next, we've got Agent of Shadow Thieves, Sword Coast Sailor, and Familiar Ground. Ikra Shidiki only triggers if you're able to damage a player, so we need to make sure that she's pushing through those blockers to get to life totals, through Death Touch, through straight up unblockable, or pseudo unblockable given her native menace.
Teferi's Veil and Lightning Greaves give this deck some much needed protection. Sakashima's clone is essential to this entire game plan, seeing that Sakashima itself makes the legend rule not apply. So protecting him when he becomes her is vital. Not to mention, we're going to be swinging every single turn, and Teferi's Veil just laughs at every single sorcery speed board wipe.
And it's pretty unlikely we're going to need blockers with our life total the way it is. What we do need is ramp, so we're playing Kozilek's Unsealing, Sonic Screwdriver, Frontier Siege, and Inga and Essica. Each of these spells is likely to ramp us into one or both of our commanders, and get us double spelling ASAP, with extra utility like unblockable or card draw.
And speaking of card advantage, Greed and Glarb Calamity's Augur fit the bill of this deck so well. The 2 life costs from Greed is almost entirely ignorable when we're gaining 14 life with just our commanders out. And most of the cards, especially our clones, are 4 mana value or greater, allowing Glarb to cast them from the top of our library.
We're also adding Toxic Deluge. I'm super glad they keep reprinting this because this is one of the best board wipes in the game. Not only can it get us out of pretty much any situation, we actually have the option to pay 6 for this, keep most of our board, and wipe our opponents down.
Fabricate is our next add. Obviously, you don't include this without any hits. To Eldrazi Dragon's credit, Aetherflux Reservoir and Bolas Citadel are in the main list, and those are so sweet.
Aetherflux is one of the best win cons in the deck. It's really good at gaining life and surviving, but it wasn't great at ending a game. And we trust our viewers have been 3 steps ahead of us, predicting our last pick of 3 steps ahead. This card does everything this deck wants. It's going to protect our board, which is so commander focused. It's a potential clone effect. It's potential card advantage, which we desperately need. We always want to draw this card.
All right, and that's Eldrazi Dragon's list. I'm sure you were paying attention to it, but all of these cards can come down before your commanders.
This deck desperately needed to get off the ground quickly, and we made sure that's happening, building an engine, then casting our commander, and then going for the win.
I hope this goes to show you don't need game changers and a ton of expensive cards to make a deck super consistent and fun. And that's Fix Your Deck. Do you have any recommendations? Did we miss a card? Did we mess up by subtracting or adding a card? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you want a chance to be in the next episode with a commander of yours, join our Discord. Link is in the description. Send us your list. We love looking at them. We love solving people's problems.
That's all we got.
That's it.
Goodbye. Was everything fine there? I think the flow messed up somewhere.
We're definitely going again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a fucking turd.
All right.
3, 2.